Before I was a Christian, I never really went to church. My family didn't go to church, so I didn't go to church. I can probably only count like on my one hand, how many times I might have gone with my grandma on Easter or whatever.
I grew up as a pastor kid in church. My grandfather was a main pastor and my dad was a kids pastor. So I really grew up around Christ as a lifestyle.
Before I knew Christ, my life was empty. Just to sum it up in one word, it was empty.
And at a very young age, I got into, troubled crowd. I started drinking and getting into drugs pretty early.
My biggest struggle was with the people that I let into my life and the alcohol.
And I was constantly trying to fill that void with boys, with going out and partying, with doing all these things at a very young age.
Smoking weed every day, skipping school, and before long I wasn't even going to school, and it just became my life. It was the most important thing to me, and that's kind of how I identified myself, was with the drugs.
Because of the people that I let into my life, and slowly, with that progression of just opening the door ever so gently every time, it became to really just change me as a person without even realizing that it changed me.
The thing I realized as I was doing those things, I never felt fulfilled and I never felt whole. Even after I thought that all those things would meet the need, it never did.
As I got out of high school, I would really just go to football games to go to the parties before the games. Football games didn't mean that much to me. It was all about the drinking and the partying and the hanging out.
So I finally decided that I was gonna make a change. So I moved and checked myself into rehab, and it was there that I met a guy who he took me into his home, and he identified himself with me, and I kind of realized we had the same type story.
Now that I've come back to Christ, it's been a journey, like it always should be, but it's something that I found like everything just has kind of clicked into place now.
My junior year is kind of when was the turning point in my life. I started asking a lot of questions about God.
And it wasn't long before I realized that what he had in him was Jesus.
There were things in my life that didn't work out the way I thought they would, and I ended up turning to God during that time. I started going to a local church in Grand Junction, and I got involved in a small group Bible study.
He didn't even really have to say anything. It was just the love that he showed me through being with me and just loving on me and showing me that despite everything else, that Christ loves me. And for me, that was the biggest thing and the reason for change was Christ's love.
Since coming to know Jesus, my life has just radically changed. I went from trying to fill and meet all of these needs I had with finding my identity in sports and boys and what I wore and how I looked and all these different things, to now my identity is in Christ.
And from that moment on, everything changed. I was 100% in doing drugs and crime or whatever it was. And from that moment, I was 100% all in with Jesus.
I just am so thankful for the things that I've been through, even though they've been hard, because wherever we're at in life, God can use our story and our testimony to help someone else.
The person who showed me the love of Christ, I want to be that person for others. And that's why I serve in the church. That's why I go on missions trips. That's why I do what I do at Southeastern. And I love doing it. And that's all because of the love of Christ that's inside of me.
God always has something in store for you that's a little bit different than what you were expecting.
From that moment, my entire life looked different, felt different.
I'm only moving forward from here on out.